Okay, I am the end of the words, book reviews, and I'm going to talk about a few books here. I don't know what the title will be. I may end up talking more about one book. So the first two may just be touching on them. Um, but the first I'm going to touch on briefly is John Saul's Midnight Voices. It says on here also the author of the Manhattan Hunt Club, and I know the Manhattan Hunt Club is one of his later novels. So I'm going to say this is his. Oh, here we go. Midnight Voices is his 30th novel. I've always been a huge John Saul fan, mainly because in his early novels, he reminded me of Stephen King, but almost, if this makes sense, like a Catholic version of him. And I don't mean like he's religious. I mean that if Stephen King is Christianity, John Saul is Catholicism, meaning religion is scary, Catholicism is horrifying. But John Saul also did use a lot of biblical imagery, a lot of religion and religious motivated people in his books, which are scary in their own right. Midnight Voice is about a woman who is down on her luck. Her husband died, has two kids, meets this man, moves into this old apartment in New York, this old building called the Rockwell, where weird things happen. The son is really the one that sees it. Eventually, and I'm just gonna spoil the shit out of this because honestly, this could have been a short story and been just as good. It felt like it was a short story and he just lengthened it. I still really enjoyed it. I love John Saul's writing, but this seemed like he tried to make more out of a story that shouldn't have been this much. Like I said, it was still good, but the kid finds out that basically all the people who live in this building have been alive forever, and they feed off children. They like feed their organs, and there's a blind person who lived there who got eyes from a young girl. It's happened since back in Europe, where eventually she discovers it happened, and um, honestly, a little bit of an adventure, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of suspense. The suspense isn't really there as much as you wanted it to be because you kind of already knew what was happening. It's not that hidden. There's no second motivation. There's no red herring type of reveal, but it was still decent. I still like John Saul, and I'll still read everything that he writes. I haven't read all of them yet. I'm getting close though. I read a lot of his novels. If I had to give this a number, a 5.5 out of 10, still worth a read if you just want to read something quick. I mean, what's a paperback that's like 400 pages. You can get through this fast. It reads pretty quickly too. But yeah, 5 out of 10 on John Saul. Next up, I gotta put the dust jacket on here. I don't read books with dust jacket on. I just don't like the feel of it. I don't like if it slips around in my hands. I understand why it's there to keep the book nice, but I don't really destroy my books too much. Let's be honest. Oh, there's still a sticker on this. Interesting. This is Carol Leifer's "When You Lie About Your Age, the Terrorists Win." Carol Leifer, famous comedian, comedy writer. I believe she's a stand-up comic too. I'm familiar with Carol Leifer, not like her life per se, but I've seen her in a lot of different things, just to kind of be associated with things that I liked. The problem I had with this book is, for some reason, every single story I read, I pictured Tig Notaro in my head. Is it because I'm more familiar with Tig Notaro? Maybe. Is it because Carol Leifer talks about being a lesbian and Tig Notaro is like the queen lesbian comedian in my head? Maybe. It was good. Whether it was Tig Notaro or Carol Leifer in my head, Carol Leifer could take credit because she wrote it. I was just kind of picturing her as Tig Notaro. I don't know why. It's what my head did. There's no explanation other than the one I maybe just gave. But I enjoyed the book. Kind of your run-of-the-mill life story mixed with comedy and a lot of self-discovery in here, if you will. She does a very good job about explaining, discovering who she is. And there's a lot of things I relate to who somehow me as a a 26-year-old man is connecting with a, I don't want to say it and talk out of turn here, with a 50-year-old lesbian. A lot in common somehow. A lot of the same feelings, a lot of the same, crazy thoughts, but she levels it all off by not being afraid of death and not, just trying to living each day the best she can, which is what I like to live by, although it doesn't stop my crushing fear of death. If I had to give this book a number, a rating, I would say if you're picturing Carol Leifer, couldn't tell you. If you're picturing Tig Notaro, it's a 6.5 out of 10. Because it's good, but nothing. She's not rewriting it is a book. I guess she'd write it. She's not rewriting the Bible with that. And then the one I'm probably going to name the video after, and I don't even know if I want to talk much about this because I don't know. We'll get into it. This is Dan DeLillo's White Noise. I didn't tell you when the other books were published, so I'm going to tell you when this one was published because it kind of has to be said. 1985, it appears. 1985, White Noise was made, which lends me I didn't look at when it was published until, let's say, here, which was about page 80. So for the first 80 pages, I was picturing a different time period. The writing's not altogether timeless. I have a boatload of problems with how this thing's written. But one involves the back here, and it's a review from the New York Times. And it says, one of DeLillo's funniest novels to date, eerie, brilliant, and touching. I see 4 problems with that. Funny, eerie, brilliant, and touching. I didn't hate this book. Was it funny? Not even a little. But that may be me personally, because maybe the funny is taken from the death standpoint. The husband and wife are both terribly scared of death, but they both talk about death all the time and put on airs, if you will. That's not the term I want to use at all. They both pretend like they're not for each other. Eventually, it's discovered that the wife was taking these pills but it was like an out of a motel room study from this scientist that got fired, but he still had the pills to suppress the fear of death in her head, but it was causing her these crazy symptoms. And she lied to her husband about it. She ended up sleeping with this guy in order for the study to happen. There's a giant toxic cloud that comes over the town, and the husband gets exposed to it. Gets told that he's going to die eventually, but they have no idea what the actual chemical does. But if he outlives 30 years, that's how long the chemical will be in his body. So if he outlives that, he's fine. And they both have these mortal thoughts now, but then they finally confess to each other. It's just wild. Were there parts where I chuckled? Sure. Were there parts where I smiled crookedly? Sure. Funny? No. I can't tell you. I couldn't say it's funny. I couldn't. If somebody said, hey, White Noise, how do you describe it? Funny would never come out of my mouth. But like I said, that might be because of my fear of death and how much they talk about it in here. Second thing, eerie. I don't see anything eerie about it other than the fact that everybody's a goddamn psychologist in this. Everybody's a goddamn philosopher. You ask somebody a question, hey, is it raining outside? And they say, what is rain? I just don't understand. People don't have conversations like this. I think the reason I'm most mad about it is when I try to write something, I have to stop myself, like actually think coherently and stop myself from writing like that. Like it's philosophers just talking to each other. And the fact that this whole book is just, nobody gets a goddamn straight answer. You can't get a straight answer off anybody in this book. You ask somebody a question and they get philosophical on you. There's the son does, the daughter does, the wife, the husband, some guy in the supermarket, the doctor. Everybody is a philosopher. Everybody's goddamn Socrates in this thing. And you can't get away from it. Every time, I just want an answer. Just talk. Speak like a normal person. Brilliant? If you like philosophical conversations, sure, it's brilliant. If you like weird, the ending is kind of brilliant. Rushed, but brilliant. Touching? That might go along with the fear of death thing. If you read this and you don't have the crushing fear of death like I do, maybe you'll enjoy it. maybe it'll be touching. I had a lot of emotion for this book. For a book I didn't really care. I didn't really care about it coming in. I don't like how my arm. I don't like how I'm holding this. I don't like this at all. Why am I doing that? Nope. I'm trying to hold it so I don't cover anything. I don't like where my arm is. I don't like this at all. Whatever. If I had to give White Noise a rating, now that my anger's out, now that I talked about the philosophical problems, let's see. I gave John Saul a 5.5. I gave Carol Leifer a 6.5. Let's give this thing a 6. I'm reading a book now that will be a lot higher than that. It's a good thing after 3 they're not clunkers, but 3 not that phenomenal. I guess everything can't be phenomenal. I'm trying to read over 50 books this year, so they can't all be gold. They can't all be the Bookman's Tale. If I compare every book I read to that, I'll be just let down a lot. If you've read any of these, let me know. If you have a recommendation for me to read, let me know. My personal library is now confirmed over 1,300 books, so I'm sure I have something. Even if the book you suggest to me, even if I don't have it, I'm sure I probably have something similar, if not something by the same author. There's a lot of books out there, though. My library is growing. I do a lot of organizing. The struggle's real with these books. But my shoulder's getting tired doing this. I still do not at all like how I'm holding this. So Dan DeLillo, White Noise, 6. Carol Leifer, When You Lie About Your Age, The Terrorists Win, 6.5. John Saul, Midnight Voices. How do I hold all 3 of these with one hand? Like this? Nope. Like this? Thank you. I'm not at all satisfied if I was holding those. I hate it.